always amazing when you find someone who you have nothing in common with. And you say, wait a minute. For once, I agree with you on something. I'm talking about Peter Thiel, the fascist billionaire conservative who funds extremely racist and fascist people to run for office in this country. Recently, he made some comments because he's been getting the ire of the Republican Party for not giving more of his money to their fascist candidates. He recently said, and I'm paraphrasing this, that a lot of the conservative message nowadays is dark and depressing. And they sort of kind of need a positive message. I was like, wait a minute. A positive spin on fascism and racism and misogyny? You're going to have to work really hard to do that. But he's right. There's nothing, zilch, that they're offering anyone. They're just saying, vote for me because everyone else is horrible or incapacitated and can't do the job. Literally, Pittsburgh, you've got the Republican senatorial candidate, Dr. Oz. You know, the TV doctor that sold you the weight loss tablets. That guy. He's not really running on anything to help Pennsylvania. At least I haven't heard it. He's saying vote for me because my opponent is physically not capable of doing the job. You know that's the lamest campaign ever. That's pretty lame. They have nothing on John Fetterman. I mean, when you get to attacking a candidate's health, and the candidate is already in government. Like I said, if John Fetterman is not fit to be a senator, why is nobody saying he's not fit to be the current lieutenant governor? Just doesn't make too much sense there. And they're sort of kind of moving the goalposts, so to speak. First they said John Fetterman was so ill and sick that he couldn't campaign and therefore he can't be senator. Well, now they've scratched that because as of September of this month, John Fetterman has been back on the campaign trail, holding rallies. So now the next thing was, well, because he's not debating, he can't be a senator. Well, John Fetterman agreed to a debate in October. And now they're saying, well, he's got to agree to more debates than one, or else he can't be a senator. You see how the goalpost has been steadily moved to the point of absurdity at this point? So, he can't be senator because he had a stroke. But wait a minute. aren't there a bunch of United States senators currently serving who have had strokes, heart attacks, surgeries? So I don't know if that argument is really going to be all that, it's going to carry that much weight, so to speak. It's a non-starter, because most people, either themselves or they know someone, have health issues. And for the most part, they work. So, in a nation where over 800,000 Americans each year suffer a stroke or stroke-like conditions, you're really going to tell all those citizens that they can't go back to work? That's Dr. Haas, the man who's making political advertisements for soap opera. Those advertisements, don't they look like the soap opera hour on television? He's in the grocery store. He's at the gas station. The thing is, Pennsylvanians have said, wait a minute. He's at the grocery store and at the gas station. We never see him in Pennsylvania. The only time, in fact, the Pennsylvanians say they ever see Dr. Oz is when Donald Trump is in town to hold a rally for Dr. Oz. So the rest of the time, he's staying at his New Jersey mansion. And when Donald Trump is in town, he runs to the in-laws' house, where he's in the basement, and he stays there for a night, participates in the Trump rally, and then goes back to the mansion. I swear, we have sources that are telling us this is what type of campaign Dr. Oz is currently participating in. My sources would never lie to me. And then you have Doug the Confederate. You know, the dude that thought it was appropriate to wear a full Confederate battle military uniform to work. Yeah, I kind of see what Peter Thiel was saying. Their message is dark, depressing, dreary. And when the cult leader comes out and says they stole the election 1,000,000 times in his hour-and-a-half long rants and raves, that's really not something that's really appealing either to Pennsylvanians or Americans at large. It's just not. Look, Pittsburgh, you got a choice. You got the snake oilsman running for Senate, and you got the Confederate running for governor. And then you got John Fetterman and Josh Shapiro. They're not really stellar in terms of, well, all the drama. But at least you're not going to get a Confederate and a snake oil salesman. That's really, think about it. That's really what the Republican Party has presented to Pennsylvanians. That's insulting. A TV doctor who sold fake dietary supplements and a dude that dressed like a Confederate. You know, they used to be better. I can remember they've always been controversial. You had Rick Santorum in Pennsylvania, who hated and despised gay people. But that was an issue, a political issue, that, yes, was divisive in America. But it was an issue. They don't have anything. They're saying, vote for me because, well, the other person is too ill to even be a senator. Can you imagine how lame Dr. Oz has to be? To be like, you have to support me because the other guy is ill. What a lame-o. And then you got Doug the Confederate. Hasn't even apologized for wearing a full Confederate uniform in Pennsylvania. You would think he would come out and say, I apologize to anyone that I might have offended. No. Because he's not sorry. That's who Doug is. He wore the uniform of the Confederacy in 2017. He stormed the United States Capitol in 2021. Pittsburgh, if someone continues to tell you what type of individual character and integrity or lack thereof that they have, you should probably listen and take heed. And I think people are. I saw some data concerning where the candidates stand in the governor's race. And thank goodness Doug the Confederate is not faring very well. Now he's doing very good in the rural areas of Pennsylvania, which is not all that surprising. I mean, the Democrats are trying to cut into the rural areas a little bit. But we all know. We really do. That's his constituency, and that's who he's appealing to. Politically. But as an individual, Doug Mastriano is probably one of the most disgusting, extremist people we have in this country. I don't think Pittsburgh is going to vote for a snake oil salesman or a Confederate. That's not who Pittsburgh is. But Pittsburgh, you got to do your part. A lot of times the cities and the residents in the city say, oh, you know, my city is not going to support that kind of bullshit. I don't have to participate. But you really do this time. Look, is it Philadelphia and Pittsburgh? They wanted to seize the voting machines in Philadelphia and Pittsburgh. They wanted to have the United States military seize the voting machines. And when they seized the voting machines, I'm going to tell you what they really wanted to do. They wanted to see how many votes of certain people were in certain districts, so they could erase or destroy that information. Because they were going to use the military to seize the machines. But they didn't tell you who was going to analyze the machines. They never said the United States military is going to analyze the machines. An independent judicial system is going to analyze the machines. No. They were going to destroy the data on the machines and just not count your votes. Because, you know, you people who live in Philadelphia, you're not really Americans. They're the only real Americans. Need I say more? So, the apathy has to go away this time around. It did in 2020, and I hope it continues to in 2022. I think it's offensive to come to Pittsburgh or to go to Philadelphia, places where the Republican Party said they didn't even want votes counted in the last election, and then turn around and come back and say, we want you to vote for us. Wait a minute, you said my votes didn't count in 2020, and now you want me to vote for you in 2022? It's kind of like if you break up with someone 6 months ago, and then they start hitting you up and texting you again 6 months later. Like, it hasn't been that long. I still remember why I broke up with you. 2 years. It hasn't been that long since you accused all the residents in Philadelphia and Pittsburgh of cheating and stealing an election. They haven't sort of kind of forgotten that. It's going to take more than 2 years. Maybe 4, 8, 12, 16. Or maybe until you stop telling the lie. Think about that, Pittsburgh. They want you to vote for them, even whilst they still have the lunatic from Mar-a-Lago coming into your state telling you that residents who live in your cities cheated and stole an election. I don't know how you do that. The disillusionment with that kind of thinking is amazing. People are not stupid. They might think that people are stupid, but people are not stupid. They realize what was said and what they tried to do. The disenfranchisement. You know, the Republican Party, modern Republican Party, has been really keen on disenfranchisement of minority voters. But to the extent that they wanted to do it in 2020, utilizing the United States military. And you know, you can say, oh, it was the lunatic from Mar-a-Lago and company. I like to say it was the lunatic from Mar-a-Lago and company. Do you know who proposed that idea to have the military seize voting machines? Yes, you might have heard of My Pillow's Mike Lindell. But the CEO of Overstock.com also was a leading advocate for using the United States military to seize voting machines in Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, and other major metropolitan American cities. States that went overwhelmingly for Joe Biden in 2020. They wanted machines analyzed and confiscated. Chicago, Atlanta, Detroit, Phoenix, Los Angeles. I even heard that they said to come and take our machines in Seattle and Portland. Now you know that's a problem, right? Because outside of major metropolitan cities in this country is pretty much all white people. Inside of major metropolitan cities in this country are predominantly the vast majority of people of color. So if you take away those votes in the major cities, guess who doesn't get the vote? People of color. Guess who does get the vote? Only white people. So it's racism, institutional racism, masquerading as voter fraud. And this is what the Republican Party has been selling. Pure racism. Trying to legitimize it, saying, oh, we have a concern about elections. You do you now? Only the elections they lose, apparently. Only the ones they lose. Because they never had this type of concern about the voting machines in 2000. When Florida was decided by 500 votes. Did they want to do an analysis? I know they had a recount, but did they want to analyze all the machines? Did they want the government, the military to seize machines at polling locations? Hell no. It's only when they lose is there some type of fraud or some type of illegitimacy. You remember when Barack Obama became president? He couldn't be duly elected as the president either because he was a Kenyan national who was lying about his birth certificate. You remember the lunatic from Mar-a-Lago went all around the country telling people this. And I know he'll lie and say it started with the Hillary Clinton campaign. But that's a lie. Because it didn't. It started online with conspiracy theorists that he continues to placate to this very day. Sick, demented, racist conspiracy theorists on the internet. You know, people like him. I don't think Pittsburgh is going to go for this shit. And we'll have serious problems if they do. But I don't think they will. I think the biggest problem coming out of Pittsburgh is going to sadly be voter suppression. Voter intimidation. This I can foresee is going to be a huge issue in Pittsburgh, Philadelphia. Because they don't want to admit that they cannot win, broadly speaking. Sure, on the local level they can win. But when you're restricting rights and citizenship away from women in your country, when you're foretelling children that they can't play on sports teams because of their identity, when you're for full-scale disenfranchisement of black people, you're not going to really be successful in this type of country. And so that's why they peddle in conspiracy theories and propagate violence. Because they know the sun has set on their agenda. It really has. And so sadly, I think that they're going to be less than hospitable. Let's just say that, Pittsburgh. But I don't think they know who they're messing with. Pittsburgh is a working kind of place. You gotta be a little rough to be in Pittsburgh. And Pittsburgh is used to a little bit of hostility. So I think we'll be right up for the task. And we'll meet them all. Let's not go for the snake oil salesman and the Confederate. You got this, Pittsburgh.